Are you ready to write it? Are you ready to write the text message? Whether it's a short text message or a longer essay, it requires certain skills. So what you say is concise and clear and understandable. I will tell you in a few minutes how to do that, and you will know it better than ever before. Stay with me here. Welcome to English Bullet, the channel where we fire up your day with practical English and powerful motivation for your business and life. Having used English in business for over 20 years, I'm here to share what I've learned. Let's get started. In life, pretty often we have to write something, write a message. Whether it's an email or any other, we have to have it organized and understandable. Today, I want to talk to you about mastering the essay writing. What's the essay? Why it's important? I will just tell you. Okay, so uh, writing skills, generally speaking, are essential in life. Very often we have to write something down, whether it's an email, letter, or just a message. So sometimes we just need to explain ideas clearly and in detail, whether it's a short form, like an email, letter, or a message, or a longer one, like an essay of 400, 800, 1,000 or more words. It always has to be organized in a way that the reader easily understands what we want to say. There are two main types of essay: for and against essay, which is presenting both sides of an argument, which is presenting of certain issue or a problem to discuss. And there is an opinion essay, the second main type, and this essay gives our opinion on certain topic, clearly stated from the very beginning. So two main types of essays are for and against and opinion essay. And both types help us discuss ideas clearly. Difference between essay types. We have for and against essay and opinion essay, as we said. In a for and against essay, we present both sides of an argument, which means we present what are the advantages or disadvantages of a certain solution. We discuss it, and the writer understands, have the wide perspective of both sides of the coin, let's call it. He knows what are the advantages and disadvantages of certain solution. We discuss it here. An opinion essay, it's the essay in which we very clearly, from the very beginning, state our opinion on some certain subject, a certain matter, and the essay focuses on supporting that opinion. So we say something and we support it with the paper. So for and against, discuss the thing, presents disadvantages, pros and cons. And opinion essay presents our opinion from the very beginning and then supports it with certain paragraphs and arguments. So I want to discuss with you today two types of essays, as we said, and we are starting with the for and against essay. First, I want to present you with the structure, how it should be organized. So the first is the introduction, is just a few short sentences where you present the topic and both points of view. You say that there are opinions for and against this subject. Then you give body paragraphs. Normally, essay should consist of two up to four. It's the optimal number, two up to four paragraphs. So we give one to two paragraphs with arguments for, with presenting the advantages of the certain problem or certain topic, certain matter, certain solution. And then you give two more paragraphs which presents the arguments against, what are the disadvantages of the solution. And then you give the conclusion. But the important thing is that in the introduction, you don't reveal your opinion on the subject. You just present what you're going to discuss. Then you discuss, you present one, two paragraphs with advantages, as we said, one, two paragraphs with disadvantages, and then you give the conclusion, which is finally the moment in which you present your own opinion. So you discussed the matter, and then you say, in my opinion, it should be so and so. So remember, for and against essay presents your opinion just in the conclusion, at the end of your research, let's call it, or discussion. Um, every essay starts with the introduction, with the beginning, with where you present the certain problem. So the useful phrases for introduction for and against essay should be many people believe that while others think that. So as you can see in this one sentence, we find that there are people who believe in something, believe that something is true, that something is reasonable, that something is favorable, that something is better, while others think that. And then we have the other part of the sentence where we say that there are also other people, other opinions, other points of view. So when we start with this kind of sentence, the reader already knows that we're going to present both sides of the coin. Then some people argue that, whereas others claim that, the same. One group of people, the other one. There are different opinions about. Okay, here we say that there are different opinions, not one opinion. Not that everybody thinks the same. No, we have different opinion about some certain matter. And then we have this essay will discuss both sides of the issue. And here very clearly we say that this essay, that what you're going to read, will discuss both sides. As we said, pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. You're going to be presented with those in this paper. Then we have to present the arguments. So we gave the introduction. We said that this essay will present both sides of the coin. And now we have the useful phrases presenting arguments. So we have to present the arguments for, as we said, and we may start with sentences like, one advantage is that. Another important point is that. Supporters of this idea believe that. So we can start one, two, three paragraphs with these sentences, and then we give the facts. Then we give the supporting ideas for these advantages. And then we have to also give the arguments against. We have to balance the opinion. And then we can start with however, some people argue that. So however, we still have to understand that there are some people who think differently. And on the other hand, very common sentence, very common phrase, a common criticism is that, so we there inform that there are critics to this kind of approach, and we can present the other point of view as well. So we have to start the paragraphs with certain opening phrases, and then it goes on. It's much easier then. Useful phrases for conclusion. Okay, we had the introduction, we had paragraphs for and against, and now we have conclusion. Conclusion is the part in which we restate the arguments, but already clearly give our opinion. So we may say, in conclusion, and then we repeat the arguments. To sum up, all things considered, in my opinion. And here, as we said, we already give the opinion. We already inform the reader that based on the arguments we discussed in above paragraphs, we think, we are convinced, our opinion is that, and then we say clearly which part of the coin we think is correct. So we give opinion here. It's very important. Don't forget when you're writing an essay for and against to sum it up with your opinion at the end. And I would like also to give you some example topics for and against essay. For instance, mobile phones in school. Should students use mobile phones in school? Very important topic nowadays. Homework reduction. Should homework be reduced in schools? Once again, about schools, whether children should be given homework or not at all, or less or more. Online versus traditional learning. Is online learning better than traditional learning? Then you can present your arguments on the online learning and on the traditional learning. And social media for teenagers. Is social media beneficial for teenagers? And then you discuss, you present why it's okay, why it's useful, it makes the contacts easier, and so on. And you also present the disadvantages. Remember, you balance, and then the end you give the opinion in the for and against essay. It's pretty simple, but we have to remember that. And now I would like to present you. We talked about how it should be organized, how to open, what are the sentences we can use for the paragraphs, what are the sentences for conclusion. But now I'd like to tell you a few examples of how it can really be organized, how it really looks, how it really sounds. So, for instance, arguments for social media has become an important part of modern life. You give the argument for. You say why social media is now important, why it's crucial, why we should talk about it. Some people believe it helps people stay connected and share information easily. Once again, you inform that the advantage of social media is that it helps people stay connected and share information. Then we have the arguments against. However, others argue that can cause addiction and reduce face to face communication. So then you present the counter argument, the disadvantage. But we remember, for and against has to give the balanced opinion, so the reader follows your research, and then at the end you give your opinion. But now we are in the body of the essay with the paragraphs. We present both points of view. Example topic sentences. Arguments for one major advantage of social media is that it allows people to stay in contact with friends and family. That's advantage. You stay in contact with friends, you have friends. Another benefit is that social media makes sharing information quick and easy. Of course, it's advantage. You can share videos, pictures, information. You can make a video call. You can stay in contact with all your friends so easily. And arguments against. However, many people believe that social media can be addictive, of course. So addiction is not good, is always bad, and it's the argument against. Another concern is that it may reduce real life communication. Okay, on one hand, it helps you communicate easily online. On the other hand, it reduces the real life communication. So you had arguments for and arguments against. Example conclusion for and against. So we had the introduction, once again, introduction in which you state the problem. You say that you don't want to discuss pros and cons. You don't give your opinion. Then you give the paragraphs for and against. And then at the end, you give the conclusion in which you repeat briefly, restate the arguments for and against, but then you give your opinion. Please have a look. Summary of arguments. Social media has both advantages and disadvantages. We restate what we've been talking about in paragraphs. While it helps people communicate and share information, it can also lead to addiction and less personal interaction. Okay, so we summarize the arguments we talked about, and now you give your personal opinion at the end. In my opinion, social media can be useful if it's used in moderation. You finally give your opinion. You presented both sides, you presented arguments, and here you finally give your opinion. So finally, the reader knows what you mean. What's your view on that matter? So you finally give your opinion, and in my opinion, you may say, in my opinion, social media can be useful if it's used in moderation. And now we go to the other type of essays, which is the opinion essay. As we said at the beginning, there are two main types, for and against, that we have just discussed, and then we have the opinion essay. Opinion essay, I don't know if it's good to call it easier, but in a way it is, because you just present one point of view. You know what you want to say, you know what's your opinion on the topic, and you just present the arguments for. So all you do in this essay, you present, you support, you reinforce your argument, and then you summarize, then you conclude, you give conclusion in which you restate it once again. So we start with introduction. That's normal. Always the body is introduction, paragraphs, and conclusion. It's always the same in all the types of essays. Here we have the introduction. You clearly state your opinion. Remember, one very important difference between essay, for and against essay, and opinion essay. Here, in the introduction in opinion essay, you give your opinion. Then you give the body paragraphs, 2 to 3 paragraphs, or maybe four, supporting your opinion. In for and against, you had, let's say, 2 paragraphs about advantages, as we said, two about disadvantages. In total, you had four. Here, you give two, three, or four, but you always support your opinion. And then you give the conclusion in which you restate the opinion and summarize the main arguments. So you restate, you introduce, you give, then you support, and then you restate. So all the time you are on the same page, let's call it, with the same point of view. You just prove to your reader why you think what you think. So useful phrases for opinion essay introduction. So we start with introduction and we say, in my opinion, I strongly believe that, it seems to me that, I'm convinced that. So from all these sentences you can see and you can understand easily that it's my opinion which I'm going to present here. It's my opinion, it's my point of view, and I'm telling you that. That's my point of view. Then we have supporting arguments. So as we said, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs in which we give supporting ideas, supporting facts. Firstly, and we give the argument. Another reason is that. So we can start the second paragraph. Another reason is that. Then we can use moreover and furthermore. So we have 4 sentences which can help you start 4 paragraphs to support the idea given in the introduction. Example topics, opinion essay. So what are the topics that can be perfectly used to write an opinion essay? School uniforms should be mandatory. So you present your opinion. You think there should be, and you say why. Technology makes our lives easier. In this essay, you're going to tell why technology makes our life easier. You are convinced it makes, you just tell why. Public transport should be free. You know it should be free, you are convinced, and then you want your readers to understand it as well. Students should learn financial education at school. You are convinced, you are sure, you want to your readers to think the same way as you do, and you tell them students should learn financial education at school, and then you tell them why. Hopefully, when they get to the end and they are together with you in the conclusion, they think the same way as you do. Then we have the example introduction for opinion essay. Many people debate whether school uniforms should be required. And then you say, in my opinion, remember, you give your opinion in opinion essay from the very beginning. In my opinion, school uniforms are beneficial because they promote equality, reduce distractions, and create a sense of school identity. You gave already 3 very important arguments to support your idea: equality, focus, and school identity. In one sentence, in the introduction, you presented 3 arguments, which you're going to develop in the paragraphs that are to go. So, example supporting sentences. Firstly, school uniforms help reduce social pressure among students. So, we give the first argument to support what we said briefly in the introduction. Then, secondly, uniforms allow students to focus more on learning rather than fashion. The second argument. Another one, the third one. Another reason is that uniforms create a sense of belonging to the school community. And finally, the fourth one, they can simplify the morning routine for students and parents. So we gave 4 arguments supporting our opinion that school uniforms should be mandatory and are useful or a good thing for students. And then we have the conclusion, always introduction, paragraphs, and conclusion. In conclusion, we restate our opinion. So we may say, in conclusion, I strongly believe that school uniforms are a positive solution for schools. So you give your opinion, strongly believe, it's very strongly emphasized that school uniforms are a positive solution, so on and so forth. And then you once again say why. You restate the arguments given in introduction that were developed in body paragraphs, and now you repeat those because they promote equality, improve concentration and learning, and strengthen school identity. So you introduce the opinion, you introduce the arguments, you support it, and now you restate those. So if you stayed with me, thank you so much. I'm sure you are now much better prepared to write short forms, but also to write an essay, whether it's for your own purpose or for an exam or any kind of tests you may have to face in your life. Remember once again, for and against an opinion essay. So thank you so much for your attention. And remember, mastering the art of essay writing is not just an academic skill, but a powerful tool for your clear communication and critical thinking throughout life. So the essay writing, the skill of essay writing gives you the ability to communicate clearly by presenting your ideas clearly and understandably, and about critical thinking throughout your life, because you may also consider certain things by writing an essay, because you present arguments, you have to think of those, you have to consider those, which means it also builds your opinion that you know how to share with the readers. So thank you so much. I'm sure you're gonna be now much better prepared for any forms of writing in your life. So share it with your family and friends, subscribe for more, and stay tuned.